Hey guys, I'm Mr. Mills, and this week we're going to be doing a lot with interest rates and taking out a loan on a house that you might buy one day. So, we did interest rates a while ago. We primarily focused on compound interest. We also looked a little bit at exponential growth and decay, which really ties in nicely to this COVID-19 right now. But anyway, when you take out a loan on a house, it's a little bit different than taking out like a private loan or having a savings account or something like that. Those two things, a private loan or a savings account, those are usually calculated with compound interest, whereas now we're looking at interest rates on houses, and those are a little bit different. They're a little trickier. So we're not going to use any formulas that we have learned in the past. We're really just going to use Excel documents that I have and that I'm uploading to Google Classroom to help you out. So I think this is a really cool section and unit to do. I was really excited to do it in school. Unfortunately, now we're doing the remote learning thing, and that's okay. I guess it's for the best 100%, but we have to do with what we're given, right? So that's okay. So I'm going to show you everything that you're going to need for this week and how to access it, because a lot of times technology is not our friends. Anyway, the first thing you're going to need is this 7.2 worksheet. It says 7.2 worksheet B on it, right? It's just there's one question with 5 parts, and it's basically if you want to buy a house that costs this much money, and your interest rate is this percentage, what are you going to pay in the long run, right? So if your house is $200,000, but you're going to eventually pay a total of $50,000 in interest, then you pay a total of $250,000 for the house, right? That's what this worksheet is, and that's the goal of it, is to really look at how much of a house would I feel comfortable with buying someday, given a certain interest rate that I might get. I believe interest rates are the lowest they've been in, I want to say, at least a decade right now. I could be totally wrong. My brother just got an interest rate of 3.25, which is incredible. So I don't know. Take all this with a grain of salt, right? Because interest rates are going to vary for every person in the future, depending on your credit score and probably a few other things. Okay, so anyway, this worksheet gives you a few different interest rates, and then also asks you to take out different years of a loan, meaning a different loan period. Meaning, do you want to pay this loan off in 15 years? Do you want to pay this loan off in 20 years, 30 years, whatever it may be? Okay. So this is the first thing you're going to need. Now, the other two things, these are where you're going to have to download these, right? So I shared with you two things. One of them said loan amortization schedule, and the other one said house loan algebra 2. Okay, so those are the other two documents you're going to need. The first one is the loan amortization schedule. Okay, now to open that one, it's a little tricky, right? You gotta click on it, and then this should pop up. It looks like just a Google Doc. Okay. Now, I always download it in this top right corner by hitting this little down arrow. Right, so I'm gonna hit that down arrow, and then as you can see in the bottom left corner of the screen, it downloaded it. And so now I'm going to go ahead and open it. To open it, I'm just going to click on it. Boom. Okay, and it's opening an Excel document. And then, of course, it's really slow, right? Because that's how it works. Now, there is another way to download this. You could open it with Google Sheets right there, and that's totally fine. If you go ahead and do that, I might need to share it with you, and if I need to do that, just let me know, and I'll gladly do that with you. Okay. Now, while this is loading up, I'm going to go ahead and talk about what we're going to do. So basically, with that worksheet, I gave you guys a few different example problems, I guess, where one of them would be, hey, your interest rate is 3.1%, I think I said, or maybe 3.6% for 30 years, okay? So if you buy a house that costs this much money, $200,000, let's say, and your interest rate is 3.6%, and your loan is for 30 years, you're basically going to enter that information into this Excel document here, and then voila, you get some answers as to how much your monthly payment would be, and then how much your interest would accumulate to in the long run, right? So usually it's around like $50,000 or $75,000, whatever it is, but it's a lot of money, right? It's more than you would think about. Okay, so it's finally downloaded. I'm gonna go ahead and open that up. And then the one last thing I have to do before I use it is I have to hit this button, Enable Editing. Okay, so I'm gonna hit that. Cool, so now I'm ready to go. Okay, so anyway. So now this is good to go. So let's look at my worksheet here. Okay, so it says the year is 2026. I have a good job and wanted to buy a house. I go to the bank and I get approved for a $275,000 loan. Okay, that's pretty good, right? So I'm gonna take that $275,000 loan and I'm gonna enter that into loan amount. Okay, loan amount is gonna be $275,000. 275,000, and then hit enter. Okay, and then you'll see all these numbers just adjusted based upon what you typed in, right? But I still have a few other things to alter. So let's go back to that PDF. All right, so $275,000 loan. Now it's time to start comparing some interest rates. Let's look at some possibilities. Okay, so possibility A, I have a good credit score and I get a loan interest rate of 3.6%. Okay, so 3.6, so that's my interest rate. So I'm gonna go over here and where it says annual interest rate, that's where I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna type in 3.6% there. 3.6, and then go ahead and hit enter. Okay, and again, you can see all of my numbers just adjusted based upon that 3.6%. Okay, now the one last thing I need to do is, this says, if you took out a 30-year loan, 30-year loan is probably the most common loan, right? You usually either take out a 15 or a 30-year loan. I would say 30 years is the most common. Okay, so if I take out a 30-year loan, what would my monthly payment be? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my Excel doc, and then the last thing I have to edit is loan period in years. Well, I'm doing a 30-year loan, so I'm going to change that to 30. And hit enter. Okay, and now I can start pulling my answers away from this Excel doc. Okay, so the questions that asked me, first one is, what would your monthly payment be? Okay, according to this, my monthly payment, that's the scheduled payment right there, $1,250.27. Okay, so every month I have to pay the bank $1,250.27. Okay, so that is my monthly payment. And then how much interest would you end up paying? Well, the total interest is $175,000. $175,098.90. Total interest is right there. Okay, so that means in total, I'm going to pay not only $275,000 for the house, but I'm also going to pay $175,098.90 for interest, right? So you're looking pretty close to $500,000, right? Right around $450,000. That's quite a bit for the whole house, right? And that's because I had a 30-year loan, right? So for 30 consecutive years, my principal balance is accumulating interest, which is like ridiculous to think about, right? I dang near could have had 2 houses by that point, right? So it's like, I want a house really bad, but no one can really afford a house because no one just has $275,000 laying around in their back pocket, right? Like, so it is what it is. But I want a house with my family. So am I willing to take the risk? I don't know. Okay. So anyway, we just did part A. Part B starts altering things, right? It says, hey, your loan is still $275,000. But now I have a poor credit score and my interest rate is going to be 6.1%, right? So I'm going to go ahead and change that interest rate to be 6.1. So instead of 3.6, it's going to be 6.1. Okay? And then when I hit enter, I can see that like the scheduled payment, my monthly payment goes up to $1,666. That's crazy. You know, it just jumped like $300 some dollars. I can't remember what the last number was. Okay, but you know, and then my total interest now is $324,000. You know, it went up by what, $150,000 just because of that little interest rate. That's crazy, but that's the reality of it, right? Like this is a real thing that all of you will certainly have to do at some point in your life. You may not literally crunch these numbers, but you could, right? This would be step one in saying like, hey, I want to buy a house. What's my budget? This is step one when you do that. Like this is something you should do, okay? And so I think that's the whole purpose of this, is to start thinking of that stuff down the road. And it's cool to think about buying a house, right? Like that's everyone's, one of their long-term goals. Like I want to buy this beautiful house with a family if I want a family, whatever, right? Okay, so that's like part one of this week. Part two is the even more fun part, right? So part two, I'm gonna go back here, and then I have to download another document, and I'm not really downloading this one. This one will be on Google Documents. Okay? It's the one that says House Loan Algebra 2. You have to open this with your Clinton email address, okay? I set it up to where if you open it with that address, you should have access to it right away. If not, just let me know, okay? But it should work if you open it with your Clinton email address. Okay, now here is where I'm gonna look for a house that to me looks cool, right? I'm just gonna use Google. Just type in houses in Clinton, Illinois, or Bloomington, wherever you want to live, right? Houses for sale in Clinton, Illinois, enter. And then, you know, you'll see these websites like Zillow is one of them, right? And you can just click on that and there will be hundreds of houses listed in Clinton and in the surrounding area that you can buy, right? So just click on one that looks nice to you and that one that you would feel comfortable with spending that amount of money. Okay. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and fill out this Excel document here, okay? So for example, I'll do another example, right? So my name is John. Hello, I'm John. Yeah. And then the cost of my house, well, whatever cost you find, right? Whatever house you have. I already did this earlier and I found a house that was $169,900. Right? So let's say I go online and I find one now that's $200,000. $200,000. Okay. And then my loan period in years, I'm just going to use this document again. I'm changing my loan amount to $200,000 because that's what my house cost. Embarrassing. Okay. And then my interest rate, I want you guys to use 4% because 4% is kind of in the middle, not really, but like it's not too awesome, but it's not terrible at the same time, right? It could be better, could be worse. So we're just going to meet in the middle of everyone and go 4%. Okay. And then loan period in years, adjust it, right? Do you want to do a 15-year? Do you want to do a 30-year? 15 years nice, but you got to pay a lot of money when you maybe don't have it, right? 30 years, you don't pay as much per month, but of course you're paying double the time. So you got to kind of like pros and cons of each side, right? You're kind of balancing it, okay? So you adjust that stuff, fill in this Excel document here. I think it's just kind of fun, right? You can see what kind of everyone's doing, okay? And then at the end, just if you want to share the link to your new condo or whatever the word is, I can't remember. Crib, your new crib, okay? You go ahead and share that, and I'll check it out, and it'll be cool, right? I think it's kind of fun, okay? So that's what we're doing this week, just interest rates on houses, and that's really all I got for you, okay? Make sure to stay in touch with whatever questions you have, and I will let you know about the Zoom meetings coming up this next week. I miss all you guys, I really do. I really wish we were back in class, but it is what it is for now, all right? Until next time, Marin Pride.